Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's your man, Ant Walker, here with the homie Matt Wells. Welcome to the Body Lock. This is the UFC 261 post-fight show. Man, there is so much to talk about. Hey, Kamaru Usman, still your welterweight champion, finishes Jorge Masvidal by KO in the second round. A picture-perfect cross, a straight cross does it. Man, I'm kind of speechless right now because we all at the Body Lock staff, we all thought Usman would win. Some of us even said, hey, it might be a finish. But did you see it happening like this quickly, this violently, and just so pretty on the technique as well?
Man, well, I kind of expected it to be a little bit different from the stand-up game because we saw Usman get to show off a little bit of that when he fought Gilbert Burns. He's more active, right? So we saw him get to display some of those tools. And I kind of had a feeling he was going to try to do that here against Mosbidal until he needed to go to his wrestling. Like, I expected him to come out, kind of like with a little chip on his shoulder, too, because that was kind of the thing that he was saying. He really wanted to prove full camp, short notice, it doesn't matter, I'm better than you. And he really made a statement. Kind of like the reverse of what Mosbidal was saying, in the lead-up clips, saying if a guy takes a fight on 6 days' notice against me, I'm not letting him walk out of there, conscious. Well, he just proved you can have a full camp and you're not walking out of there unconscious. So, your own words kind of come back to bite you there in a different way. But, man, I was really impressed with how Usman handled himself. I think there were a little bit of not nervous energy, but like excitement in that first round, with the crowd being back, being the main event. Like we saw him get a little sloppy there in the first round. And then in between rounds, Trevor was like, all right, calm down. We got you. We're good. We've been working on these things. Let's go out there and do what we need to do. And whew, boy, hit him with the absolute lasers of laser right hands. Man, that was special. You're muted, buddy.
Oops, I was muted. Long time ago, seems like, since we heard the 30% comments, 30% yes. And still. Just love that comment, by the way. But just the evolution that we've seen from Kamaru Usman since getting under the tutelage of Trevor Weidman. Like, Usman was already clearly a dangerous fighter. He had won the belt strictly as a product of Henry Hoof's team. Was it called Sanford MMA now, I think. Originally the Black Zillions, and like he very much is a product of that environment. Like, that's where he was recruited directly by Rashad Evans into that team from wrestling, and has risen as a champion through them. But this stint he's got going with Trevor Weidman is just added this wrinkle that is just marvelous to watch. The evolution of him so quickly too. Like, this is only the second full camp that he's had with Weidman, and typically this is the time, or maybe that third fight is where you start really seeing a new fighter and coach team kind of blend together, and you really see with a certain level of consistency the product of their work together. But we've seen now in two full camps, we've seen two full just nasty stoppages with smooth technique. I mean, to paw away Masvidal's guard and just send that cross right through the middle. I mean, that was textbook boxing right there. Absolutely fantastic. I can't get over that. Like, and that wasn't the only just beautiful strike that we've seen tonight. There's another one in the prelims that we'll talk about later on in the evening. But Kamaru Usman definitely proved that he is the BMF. So let's do away with all talk about that belt. He is the undisputed champion / baddest motherfucker in the welterweight division, bar none. Matt, yes. Who can beat that guy?
Well, right now it looks like nobody's beating that man in welterweight. That's just the vibe I'm getting. Obviously, I think we're going to see the Colby Covington rematch next. That was a damn good fight the first time around, but how did that one end? Colby Covington with a broken jaw before the fight concluded. So I think the outcome will be pretty similar the second time around. I think it'll be a hell of a fight again, but as Usman is getting better with his stand-up and he keeps adding these tools, he's just continuing to distance himself. And I'm not saying that Colby can't get better as well, but he was better than you already the first time. So yeah. I don't see him losing to Colby Covington. I don't see him losing to Wonder Boy. I think the Wonder Boy fight, if they actually end up doing that at some point, would be interesting because Wonder Boy is going to give him a lot of different things that he's never seen before. I still think Usman wins, but I would rather see that fight next than the Colby Covington fight. But obviously, we know Covington's getting the next shot.
I mean, we've heard Colby come to get promised title shots before, so until it's booked, I just don't believe him. We've seen Covington at the fights, relevant to the belt that he's supposed to fight for, and make a big fuss in the crowd, and like I've seen that with my own eyes, like Colby Covington crashing the party and inserting himself in the conversation only to get passed over when it's time to make the fight bookings. So I think that's a very strong possibility this time as well, depending on how things go when it's time to negotiate who gets paid what. I'm with you about the Wonder Boy thing, though. That's the fight I want to see because it's a different look. And then, like, even still with Leon Edwards out there, Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz coming up in about 3 weeks, I think, something like that, in Houston. I mean, that's obviously going to play a factor into this as well. But for right now, Wonder Boy seems like the most logical choice to me if he's healthy and ready to go. And we've talked many times before. I know this is a frequent talking point for you. The frequency that they like to throw these champions out here, considering how fast the schedule is moving and how they're stacking so many title fights on these cards. Who's going to be ready first is probably going to determine it, like I guess we saw with the middleweight division as well. Yeah.
No, fantastic points. Dana White is on the podium or on the dais right now, and he just said Colby Covington is next, and that Masvidal beating guys twice will just add to that legacy more. It's, I mean, hard to argue with, but yeah, I think we all knew that Colby was going to be next. Yeah, man. Did we read out or did Jake put in the comments here? No, he did not. So we do have numbers and performance of the night bonuses. Gate was 3.3 million. Attendance 15,269. Molina Aori was the fight of the night with Usman and Namajunas taking home performance of the night bonuses. You agree, disagree?
I'm not mad at it. The thing is, I think this card more than most others exposes how flawed the bonus system is.
Yeah.
To say that there's only two performances worthy of a bonus tonight. Yeah, I can't quite get behind that just off the top of my head. So Usman and Rose winning the performance bonuses, man. But Shevchenko also, like, clearly one of the most talented people that's ever put on 4-ounce gloves. Anthony Smith had a stellar performance as well. Randy Brown had a stellar performance as well in a very unique submission. All these fights, we'll get into a lot of these, but I'm seeing multiple people who are worthy of bonus recognition tonight. So that's my only issue with those names is that more aren't there as well.
No, for sure. For sure. More comments from Dana I'm sure we'll get to later on in the evening, but he did just kind of say what I said a second ago. Well, towards the tail end of our live stream on the fight card about Nunes and Shevchenko. Somebody asked him if that's going to be a third fight that's going to happen. He said he's always going to leave that idea open, but he's not going to force it. He likes the idea of them both having their own legacies. It is, and it's not Shevchenko's fault that another great of all time is around the same time she is. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to fault him for that.
One of the rare times that the right move for just meritocracy is also the right move for business, because do you want to have two dominant champions able to headline pay-per-views and add belts to the fight posters, or do you want to consolidate that to one because you've used them to kill each other off? And that's sort of what the risk you run into if you pair them up for a third time. And also we've seen it twice before, and it wasn't really all that, you know, that combination. I think I'd be just fine if they never met each other again.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, do you want to hop into some of these questions or what? What do you want?
Yeah, let's jump into some of these.
I'll let you pick.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to say, because I was like, I didn't want to pick, but here we go. Who had the best performance of the night? Everybody, just throw that out there. We'll revisit this as it goes, because we will be talking about quite a few fights to wrap things up here. Let's see here. I don't know if Wonderboy wants that smoke with Usman. Thompson gets KO'd by jabs. Here's the thing about the matchup, the potential matchup between Usman and Wonderboy. The smart money goes to Kamaru Usman. I mean, there's no one that can weigh 170 pounds that he should be the underdog against, you know, and that includes a returning George St. Pierre as well, by the way. So I don't think there's anyone at welterweight that can beat him. The thing is, though, he has kind of cleaned out the division already without being champion really that long. You know, he's beaten just about everybody in the top 10. Certainly, I think he's beaten everyone in the top 5. Now, I know with Woodley now no longer being in the promotion, that those numbers might be a little skewed. Let me take a look here. Okay, so he got the win over Covington, KO'd him, KO'd Burns, decision win over Leon Edwards, decision win and KO over Jorge Masvidal. Yes, Wonderboy is the only person in the top 5 that he hasn't beat. And now we got Vicente Luque at 6, Chiesa at 7, Damian Maia at 8. He's got a win over Damian Maia. Neil Magny 9. And these rankings have not been updated because Woodley is still on here. So, I mean, he's done it the entire division already, just about. So Wonderboy is the guy one of the guys he hasn't fought. And then on top of that, he's just a different type of fighter. We haven't seen Kamaru Usman against like a karate guy. And as ineffective as Wonderboy has the potential of being, it's still new. It's still not a retread, and it looks like we're about to get a retread with Covington. But I guess after he breaks his jaw again, we can talk about Wonderboy and Leon Edwards stepping in there.
No, 100%, 100%. Man, I just want to see the Wonderboy fight because we haven't seen it. I like fresh matchups. I like the idea of also beating guys he's already beat when it makes sense, but I would prefer the new matchup first, especially considering how old Wonderboy is too. So I would like to see that happen sooner rather than later. But of course, like you're saying, man, Leon Edwards deserves his crack too, but he's got to get through Nate Diaz for some reason now. So it's weird, and you know, it is what it is.
Yep. All right, so let me go ahead and just jump right into the shits right now, because I know you're taking a lot of heat on Twitter right now. So we're just gonna dive headfirst into this.
Am I really?
You were taking some heat.
Okay.
But I don't think you really deserve to take. Yeah, I don't think you deserve to take that much heat. I think this is a good conversation. And this question from Shasha, hope I'm saying that right.
Yes.
If Usman retires right now, does he have a better career than George St. Pierre?
Interesting question.
Off the top of my head, now we're just talking overall career, I'm going to say no, simply because GSP has multi-divisional success with the middleweight title on his mantle. Now, if we're talking about at welterweight, you got an argument there. And at this moment, maybe it could be some recency bias playing into it. I don't know what the answer is right now.
I will say no. If you're talking about total career, for the same reason you said, multi-division success, 2-division champion, more title defenses. That's the same reason that people point to GSP as being the GOAT right now. He's got more title defenses than Kamaru Usman. But I'm looking at things in terms of results of the fights and how the fighter is actually fighting. So I think Usman is a better fighter in that regard. And that's why he's the GOAT at welterweight for me. Overall better career is still in GSP's hands. I think that's a safe argument. for people. But yeah. So I got to call this out, man. I got to call this out right now. Sam O hit us with the super chat, man. We appreciate that so much. We really do. And
our first ever super chat, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Our first ever one. Sam O. Thanks a lot.
I believe so.
Thank you. All right, and with a fantastic question too as well. Which card is better, UFC 217 or this card? If you do not remember, UFC 217 was November of 2017, Madison Square Garden. That was George St. Pierre defeating Michael Bisping. It was TJ Dillashaw knocking out Cody Garbrandt, and it was Rose Namajunas knocking out Joanna Jacek, all for title changes. Man, I'm gonna say this card was better simply because I got to see it live. UFC 217 actually was my wedding day, so I did not see the card live. So I got to see this one live, therefore the better card.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I love the parallels that run between these two cards. Okay, first off, as we were just talking about GSP was on this card, right? Rose Namajunas shocked the world. She shocked the world again tonight. Okay. Stephen Thompson and Jorge Mosbidal. We were just talking about those two names as well. And also go down on the prelims, Randy Brown had a win as well. So there's a lot of ties between these two cards. I find that kind of interesting. I would say, man, it's so tough. It's so tough to choose. Because through and through, the entire card on 217 was better. There's better names on the prelims. I mean, Curtis Blades was the second fight of the night, for goodness sakes. I'm going to go 217. Although I love this card. I love tonight's card, but I'm going 217.
You know what? I'm even more wanting to stick with this one being better than 217 because this was like the perfect MMA card, like as far as the mixture to feel every emotion you can feel in the sport of mixed martial arts. I'm reminded of another card that felt kind of like that. Like, I think like 239 or something, maybe I'm thinking of, where by the end of it, or 235 or 239, but by the end of it, it felt so crazy. Everything felt so weird. So many crazy things happened, and we got good fights on top of it. And we had big names. 217, I don't remember anything particularly like crazy happening beyond, an unexpected knockout. Not
Thug Rose, the call of the century.
Yeah, I mean, that. But we got Thug Rose tonight too.
But we didn't get the call.
We didn't get the call. We didn't get the call. Right.
Yes. I will say this: the main event made more sense at 217 for a lot of reasons, because Michael Bisping knocked out Luke Rockhold, and then his very first title defense was against a damn near unranked Dan Henderson. And everybody was like, why are you fighting Dan Henderson right now? And then GSP emerged from the shadows. I'm like, all right, beat me, bitch. And he was like, it ain't happening. So GSP went out there and made the universe correct again by making it a legit title fight at middleweight, and then rode off into the sunset again. And so it really hit the reset button on that division. Tonight's main event didn't really make a lot of sense because it was just based on, didn't have a full camp. I like the matchup better in the main event. It made more sense at 217.
Okay. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. Yeah, so both solid events, and yeah, I'll take another one of those. So let's see. Let's jump to some other questions.
Appreciate
that we have
the super chat. Keep those rolling in. If you throw a super chat in, we're jumping to your question right off the bat. How about that?
Yes, for sure. That is a guarantee right there. So we also see questions about Valentina, what she did tonight. We are going to get to that. So let's finish up some talk about the welterweight division, and we'll move down from there. Let's jump to this question right here. I think he is not going to get his flowers with this win, but will Usman become a star?
Interesting, because no, go ahead if you're ready.
The thing is, I feel so conflicted about this because I think Usman already has the makings to be a star. He's charismatic. He's he's a well dressed guy. He interviews well. He's intelligent, and he's ever evolving as a fighter. On top of that, and if you had any sort of qualms with his methods to victory, and you say he's boring, well, I think we could cancel that argument right now. If we didn't cancel that before, so this guy should be a star. On top of that, he is one of 3 African-born UFC champions, and that's something that needs to be pushed and shouted from a mountaintop, and capitalized on by having a booking in Africa as soon as possible. Usman certainly has the makings to become a star. I think it's just going to depend on what the promotion does with what they have in front of them. And that is a big question mark. We've seen the UFC drop the ball many times in that regard.
Yeah. No, I think when you think of star power, I think of, is he showing up on your mother's, favorite daytime television show? Like, is he doing all of this extra media? Is he doing all these talk shows and stuff like that? I don't think he needs to do that. I don't think we'll see him necessarily do all that. Kind of like, think of like the biggest stars that the UFC's ever had. Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, they were the ones doing all of these appearances anywhere and everywhere where people would have them. Usman's not that type of guy. I don't think he necessarily wants all of that. I think if the UFC tried to put him in front of that, they would. That he would take, advantage of it. But I don't think he's the one going to be out there knocking on people's doors, saying, "Hey, I want to be on your show. I want to be on this headline. I want to be in this magazine. I want to, I think he's a little bit different. I think he likes to show up, take care of business. He does his commentary thing, at events, and he's damn good at that. He's really good on the mic when he does his commentary gigs. But I think he enjoys, his personal life. Like he always talks about, damn near every interview he does. Can't wait to get back home, spend time with my family. Can't wait to be home and love on my daughter and stuff like that. Like, he loves being around his family. He loves being, kind of to himself, and I don't blame him for that. And if fans don't like that, if that doesn't gravitate towards fans, like, the man doesn't get in trouble, like, he just comes in, takes care of business, like, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, well said. I just think if you put him in that position, he'll shine. And without having sort of the sort of confrontational braggadocio of a Conor McGregor, or appealing to housewives like Ronda Rousey. Like, it's just going to be him just being him. I think could go a long way if he's put in that position. So let's keep things pushing. You pick the next question, Matt.
Okay, before I get to the next question, I got to address this comment that Dana White just dropped. Apparently, he was asked about UFC Africa, and he said he expects the UFC to do an event in Africa in 2022. So that's next year, people. UFC Africa going down next year. I tell you what, if that's the case, I'm hopping on a plane. I'm going overseas. I do not want to miss that event.
I think I want to be there as well. If I'm not blacklisted by the promotion, their credential list, perhaps we can look into making my way over to the motherland for that one. So that'd be pretty dope.
Yes.
All right, I'm probably blacklisted.
Let's see here. Shout out to Dan Tom. Dan Tom's the man. I don't know if you're still in here kicking it with us, but yeah, shout out to Dan Tom for dropping in and giving us some love. Give Usman his due, and hashtag stop Asian hate. That's all. Love you guys. Absolutely, 100%.
Love you too, Dan. Yeah, Dan is definitely one of the coolest people that I've met in this sport. So, yeah, give Usman his praise. He deserves it. And don't be a knucklehead. Appreciate people despite their skin color being different than yours. Very just basic thing about humanity right there. How stupid do you have to be on that shit in 2021?
How stupid do you have to be to hate someone based on their lineage evolving closer to the equator than yours? It's really that simple and that stupid. But we'll move on.
We'll move on.
To Axe Rupp's question, yes, you hit it right as I was about to. There you go. Or comment, rather.
All right.
Or question.
Has there been a fight that Usman was in that people thought he lost but won, such as GSP versus Hendricks? Let me take a look at his record. I I remember people being upset with like the way he won a couple of times. Like the Weber Meek fight is the first one that comes to mind, where the 30% meme comes from. But other than that,
But he told you why right then and there. He said it was
30%. Yeah,
he wasn't there.
Like, and I remember like Leon Edwards having some moments, but that seemed like a pretty clear decision by the time it was over with. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt on any of these. Nope. This has been a pretty flawless run in the UFC for Usman.
Yeah, I mean, it was shaping up to be something controversial in the Colby Covington fight, but then he ended the fight. So,
yeah,
judges' scorecards be damned. Sorry, you don't need those when the fight's finished by a knockout. But yeah, I largely agree with you. Like, there's not been a fight where it's like, yeah, the other guy should have won. Yeah, with GSP, we at least had that at least one time, very badly, where a lot of people were upset about that.
Yeah,
Johnny Hendricks fight.
Yeah, and I can think of maybe a moment or two where Usman wasn't in control of a fight. Like maybe a moment or two, like mostly in the Covington fight. Because he dominated Woodley, he dominated RDA, he dominated Maya. Yeah, like this has been a largely flawless run for Kamaru Usman.
100%.
All right, cool. So, Pat OJ jumping in here. Lawrence Epstein saying UFC Africa 2023 though. Well, maybe Dana's ill-informed. We don't know, but I think also too it's important to remember how the ownership has changed over a bit now, and Endeavor is the sole owner. So maybe they're going to accelerate these plans. So that's a possibility there. So that some of the head people, the UFC, have changed. Maybe that changes their plans as well. So, all right, let's keep things pushing. Usman win be an NFT. Yes, it should. It should be an NFT. That was such a pretty technique to win that fight.
I love how he said you have to answer this ass question. I love it. It's a fantastic question. I'm all over well, not all over, but I'm very much an NBA Top Shot, and I can't wait for the UFC to release their version. So I will be all over it when it starts.
Yeah, certainly an NFT moment there.
100%.
All right, so let's move things along here. Booze before the fight, booze after the victory. Yeah, and in fact, that does bring up some things that we will get into about this card. So I'm going to throw up another one from Dan Tom. The crowd did themselves no favors with the way they treated people of color and champions, regardless of whether they won or lost. Very well said, and I think no better way to segue into the next fight, and that was between Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas. In case you missed it, Rose Namajunas is now the strawweight champion. The crowd in Jacksonville not too happy with the presence of one Weili Zhang, who represents the red, I guess. But the X's and O's on this one, man. Rose fought the perfect fight for the little amount of time that was necessary to get that win. Matt, just what were your first thoughts watching what Rose was able to do to pull off the victory there?
Well, I mean, we were super impressed with just her movement. You know, the way she was moving about, like she was really working those angles just to see what kind of reaction she could get out of Weili early. And we saw when Weili kind of blitzed in for a couple of, combinations, like nothing was landing. So Rose was feeling herself. I think she knew that if she kept this game up of her movement, her lateral movements, her quick footwork, really staying active, that she could find a way to obviously win on the scorecards. But she found that opening, landed a devastating head kick, and in the fight early. So I really liked what we saw from Rose from the moment the fight started. And Weili just couldn't figure it out. And, of course, got slept for it.
Yeah, such a perfect land on that kick, like the instep perfectly slapping across the temple, and the distance that she pulled that high kick off. In case you forgot, Rose Namajunas with a well-earned black belt in Taekwondo that she decided to show off tonight. So excellent win by her. So, I know this is probably going to end up being more of a topic when we do our videos later on throughout the week, reacting to certain things about particular issues and whatnot. But man, that crowd in Jacksonville, I mean, it is Florida, so I didn't expect much, but they were a little extra Florida tonight. What'd you think, Matt?
Very, very extra Florida. Not a single mask in sight, it seemed, among the crowd. But yeah, when we talk about, the people of color getting booed and stuff like that, that's very much expected from a Florida crowd, unfortunately. I mean, that's what we've come to expect from Florida, from a state that passed a law that said you cannot protest. Not at all a surprise. But so here's the thing, like with the Zhang boo thing, right? As I kind of mentioned on our live stream, I like the fact that the American fighter was getting cheered and the fighter from the other country was not. Simply from the fact that whenever you go to any other country, they are cheering for their countrymen. In the U.S., U.S. fighters get booed all the time. All the time. However, I say that with an asterisk because, again, I know we're in Florida, and I know Florida fans aren't thinking that way. They're thinking more of a racist tone. Yeah. Just their history does not. I mean, it's there. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you're starting all the USA chants, and like when the Black American fighter doesn't gets no love against the Serbian fighter.
Yes.
Makes me a little suspicious there. Mm-hmm. All right, so before we continue on, the one question I did see here that I do want to throw out there real quick. Adrian Gordon asking, what do you guys think about Izzy versus Usman? I personally do not want to see that fight. I don't want to see two guys who are on their own paths to domination and potentially becoming the greatest in their weight classes kill each other off. I don't want to see that. Maybe later on. But I also think, too, that there's a bond between these two that shouldn't be broken. Like this is something special that we're witnessing with African champions, and I'd hate to see these two pitted against each other right now at a time where they are stronger separated. They're stronger as a duo as opposed to a bout on a bout sheet. So that's my take on that.
I agree. This is fantasy matchmaking as good as it gets. Throw it on UFC 4 and see how it plays out, because that's the only way we're ever going to get this.
Absolutely. So, all right. So let's go and talk a little bit more about the strawweight division here. So, what's next at strawweight, man? Who do you think Rose should be pitted up against next to defend that belt? Now, the two-time champion. Is she the first two-time champion in UFC women's history?
In strawweight history? Or
strawweight history, she would be.
I don't know, because
I can't think of think of any woman that's lost the belt and then re-won it. Not counting like Strikeforce. Since that carries over, and Misha Tate being Strikeforce champion, then getting the UFC belt. And I'm not talking about dual championships either, like Amanda Nunes, but someone who has lost the belt and then recaptured it.
No, I don't think it's happened. She's the first one, because Joanna was the first champ. She lost her belt, lost her rematch for the belt.
Carla Esparza first champ. Joanna beat her, and then
Joanna and Jacek first champ. But yes, I think she is the first to regain her title. So that's a cool little feather, historic moment right there for her. Now, what's next for is a question mark, because who do you have right there sitting at number 2 in the rankings but the aforementioned Joanna and Jacek, who is already 0-2 against Rose.
Yeah.
And who also hasn't exactly been the most active fighter in the world. She hasn't fought since she last lost to Weili Zhang. So, interesting to see what they do next. And I don't have the right answer for that, unfortunately, I don't think.
Yeah, and everyone else I see on this, I don't think is quite ready for that. Like Mackenzie Dern just picked up a big win. She's ranked at number 5. Mm-hmm. From a ranking standpoint, okay, not mad at that. But do you really want to see Mackenzie Dern in there against Rose? Doesn't seem like a good night. Doesn't seem like something we really need to witness right now. Carla Esparza actually might not be a bad option when you think about it.
She's got to get through Yanan first.
Yeah, she's got to get through it. If she gets through Yanan, then that makes all the sense to me, because she does have a win over Rose. I believe that was in the Ultimate Fighter finale.
That was
where she won the belt. Yeah, that was the vacant belt. Yeah. So she won the belt there. So that sounds like a good full circle story that you can put on a poster and talk about in a commercial, and people will like it and buy it. So yeah, that makes sense to me. So if she gets past that next test, if not, then I guess the other young lady gets it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the best course of action in terms of choosing who her next opponent's going to be. Let's wait for the winner of that, and hopefully the winner of that doesn't get too banged up, and we can kind of run this fight against Rose back pretty soon, because Rose took no damage.
Yeah,
no damage. Rose took no damage. Valentina took no damage. So they're both ready to go whenever their opponents, whoever that may be for both of them, raises their hand and say, "Let's do this."
Definitely. So, all right. So let's move things along to the other dominant performance by a female champion. That was Valentina Shevchenko, absolutely schooling, won Jessica Andrade, second round TKO via ground and pound out of the crucifix. Actually, she was able to pull off that finish. Man, when we initially were handicapping this fight and talking about how Andrade's aggression was most likely going to open up good countering opportunities for Shevchenko, and while we saw that path to victory for Andrade, it was just like Valentina's just too precise. She's just too scientific. That science went a whole other direction this time, because we did not expect this to end up being somewhat of a wrestling clinic by Shevchenko. How surprised were you to see her go for those takedowns in that first round?
I was super surprised, man. I was shocked that she would come out with that game plan, but I like it because she, like I kind of said, like she's really comfortable on the ground. She's really comfortable off of her back. So if she went for a takedown and it got reversed, she'd be okay. She'd be like, all right, I feel confident in getting out from under Andrade here. But the fact that she brought her game plan to her, like almost from the onset, he was like, look, this is how this is going to go down. Show me you can stop my takedowns, and then I'll go to other things that everybody expected. And that's kind of what she's actually coincidentally on the mic right now on the dais saying pretty much the same thing. So it did shock me, and it obviously shocked Andrade. Andrade said that in the moment in the cage in her post-fight interview, saying, that threw her off guard, like she wasn't ready for that. So that's what I think you would call a brilliant game plan.
Yeah, definitely, man. And now I guess we got to ask the same question of Valentina Shevchenko that we asked of Kamaru Usman. Like, who in that weight class can get the victory? Like, who do you see that could possibly stop this reign?
In flyweight.
Yeah. Think long and hard on this one. Yeah.
Well, who's next? Lauren Murphy. All right, so you're gonna get the next crack at it, but good luck. Good luck with that, Lauren Murphy.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing anyone on the horizon that I think has the potential to do it, and that's the scariest part about this. Like when you look at Usman in the welterweight division. Welterweight is such a dynamic weight class, and there's so many amazing fighters that are popping up left and right in that division. Flyweight, not so much. Like flyweight is struggling to have a serious top 15. Like that's a genuine struggle for that division to have the normal progression of, say, the welterweight division. I'm just not seeing anyone that can do it. and no disrespect to any of the ladies in that weight class, but Shevchenko is just miles and miles ahead of everyone that can weigh 125 pounds in the UFC.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I think the best competition out there for her, potentially, depending on how she looks when she's cleared and comes back, if she decides to move up, would be Tatiana Suarez. It's a wild card that I threw at you guys out there. It's a wild card.
Yeah,
a lot of things have to happen.
Yeah, like one, she has to get healthy. Like,
yes.
Main thing, she's got to get healthy. So we haven't seen her in very long time. I know she's got like lingering neck issues, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm just not seeing who does it. As much as I liked the most recent performance from Alexa Grasso, like, I don't think so. We'll see. But
although I liked how Alexa looked in her last fight. But
I did. I loved it. It was fantastic. But Shevchenko was just a different animal, and yes. That's what's really scary about her right now. So we'll see what happens there. Let's scan and see if we've got any questions related to Valentina Shevchenko. Let me put one up on the screen if you spot one before I do.
Let's see.
Valentina was an amazing control match. Total control she took on the ground. Like the way she was like passing the side control with ease. The way she got into the crucifix, like just absolutely brilliant performance by her. Like we think of her so much as a striker, but her grappling chops are absolutely top notch. Like she's doing some pretty solid things on the ground. And in case you forgot, she reminded you with those 4 takedowns in the opening round, and not even. And the cool thing about that too, like those initial takedowns, I don't think she was trying to go for top position and domination that way. I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent was simply to shock Andrade and just let her know I can do this to you if I want it. I think that if she wanted to hold her down in throughout at least a couple of those takedowns in the first round, she could have. She just chose not to. Like, just that simple. So.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. Just she's so good. She's so good. You know,
Yes.
One of the things she just said is that she plans on fighting for a very long time. So obviously, every record that the UFC has could be in play with Valentina Shevchenko. A very long time is an interesting quote, considering her mother still competes in martial arts competitively. So how long does she roll over this division is quite the question. Quite the question.
Yeah, can you see like Shevchenko being like 53 and just still smoking people? You know? It's just, we just don't see it on the horizon. Like she's not slowing down. She's not losing a step. She's not making strategic errors out there with any level of consistency. This is just like a perfect martial artist that we're watching each and every time.
Yeah. If anything, tonight was the exact opposite of all those things you just said. The exact opposite. She looked sharp. Game plan. There's no strategic errors. I would say actually strategic mastery. Like
yes, like there's no holes. There's no holes in that game, like whatsoever.
No.
All right. So let's see. What else did we have? Oh yeah, that's right. We had a horrific handicapping injury.
Oh, are we ready to talk about this?
I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about it. Like, and I know we've got some more questions in the chat about some of the other fights. If you think we missed something real special, go ahead and just throw it back up there, because I am having a hard time trying to read everything and pick out what to talk about and still talk. So just go ahead and throw it back up, and hopefully we get to it. If not, then perhaps it will become the topic of a video coming to you within the next few days or so. Chris Weidman had a rematch against Uriah Hall, a fight in the making. When did they first meet? Somewhere like 10 years ago, or probably more than that.
2010.
2010, yeah. So 11 years ago in Ring of Fire, I believe it was. So didn't go quite the same. Chris Weidman had a rough night, to say the least. A single kick that he threw, a single power kick to the leg, checked by Uriah Hall. He gets the TKO victory at 17 seconds. Chris Weidman's leg broken, completely broken. It was dangling off. He tried to step down as it was dangling. He fell over. It was disgusting. It was gory. And it has happened before. Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva. Okay, B, give Uriah Hall's shin a performance bonus. You mean guy. You clever guy.
I'm going to hell for smiling and laughing at this internally.
Clever guy. Clever guy. Man, Uriah Hall didn't really get to show us what he's capable of, other than stellar Muay Thai defense, clearly. But Chris Weidman showed something that was the downfall of Anderson Silva in their rematch, and that is throwing the unprotected kick. To throw the power leg kick without any sort of setup, without punches to precede it, without any sort of shuffle step or anything like that, to just throw that kick blindly, naked. Recipe for disaster. I know that's a common thing that Bas Rutten talks about. Is don't throw singular kicks. Double that if they're power kicks to the leg. Okay. Just a perfectly timed check shatters Chris Weidman's leg. Quite frankly, I think that's the last time we see him in the UFC.
Very well could be. Very well could be. He's 36 years old right now. He's not exactly on the not exactly been on a run as of late. Let's see. He has now 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 2-6 in his last 8. So, yes, I very much think that he's going to be done, at least done in the UFC. Maybe we could see him come back in another promotion at some point down the road. It's going to be tough to come back from this. Yes, of course, we saw Anderson Silva come back from that, but he was not the same Anderson that we saw before. Yeah. Even though he still did come back and get some wins, but still very much a different guy. Man, it's an unfortunate injury, man, especially to be the first strike of the fight. The same thing happened to you that happened to an opponent of yours previously is wild. Both of them had ties to Anderson, with Uriah just beating Anderson in the previous fight too. Ah, what a weird occurrence, man. What a weird occurrence. It sucks. I hate seeing injuries like that in fights. I really do. Yeah. And especially that one that's going to affect whatever is left in his career so much.
Yeah. Because unlike what happened with Anderson Silva, like Silva did come back and get some main event wins and had a respectable run after that horrific injury. Chris Weidman, on the other hand, has taken so much damage at this point and is such a shell of himself that it's like that. And I've been through the recovery for this injury before, as I said on the Fight Companion. Like, I've broken my shin like that exact same sort of break, and it is tough to deal with. Like, it's extraordinarily painful. It's also quite a mental hurdle. I can think of my first times trying to throwing full power kicks after coming back from that injury, and just that doubt, and you're in sparring and hesitating to throw that leg because you got that image playing in your mind of your leg dangling off. Like, that's mentally a very tough thing to come back from. And at that age, like I was in my late 20s. I was like 26, 27. Like, Weidman's 36 and this is going on. Yeah. And he's not a young 36, not a 36 that that found MMA late in their life, like a 36 that has been through the ringer, that has been on the wrong end of multiple knockouts, that's already touched the top of the mountain and has fallen hard off that climax. Like, you got to wonder the level of mental toughness and determination it takes. That might have just been beaten out of him already, to come back from this injury. I don't think that that we're going to see Chris Weidman again. And if we do, man, if he was not the Weidman that won the belt before, imagine the version we're going to get coming back from this. So, Cade B, did my leg go origami mode like Weidman's did too? Yes, it did. It did. But as I said before, the way mine happened, it was from a takedown. We were drilling a takedown, and I don't know how the guy did this. I have no idea how he was going this hard and this crazy on drilling a technique, but he like folds over my leg. It snaps in half, but I didn't even get taken down because I'm still standing on my good leg. So I look down and see my leg dangling off, and I didn't do what Weidman and Silva and I believe Corey Hill, I believe his name was, the first guy I remember seeing doing this in the UFC. Tyrell Spong, I know he did this in Glory.
Yeah.
To break your leg and then like try to step back because you're throwing a kick. Like if you know how to throw a kick, you throw that kick and instinctually you throw that kick properly, whether you land or miss, you're going to put that foot down, and it's going to be a pretty fast, fluid motion if you throw it properly. In that fast, fluid motion, when the leg is broken, well, you learn very quickly you don't have much of a foundation, and you're going to topple over. I did not have that. I was just standing up on one foot, and then just fell on my butt, and screamed in pain like there's no tomorrow until the ambulance got there, essentially. So, yeah. But my leg went origami mode as well. So. Thanks. Yeah. It did suck, and I did have a good recovery. So I'm 100% now, baby. Leg is like a baseball bat. Feels fantastic. So, yeah.
Scary shit.
So let's ask the obvious question here. Who is Uriah Hall fighting next?
Mm-hmm. Who is he fighting next? That was a fantastic question. I think my answer was Jared Cannonier if they want to throw him up the rankings. Just because he doesn't have an opponent, he hasn't been active. That makes the most sense to me. There's a lot of different ways the middleweight division can go. It's kind of in a weird spot. So a lot of these guys have already fought each other, so you'd be looking at a lot of potential rematches between upcoming matchups. I like the Cannonier fight personally, so that's the direction I would go.
I'm not mad at Cannonier. Yeah, Cannonier. That sounds about right. I mean, that definitely promises to be an action fight as well. The personality combination of Uriah Hall, who's one of the more, I guess, one of the more interesting people in the sport as far as like his thoughtfulness and like the amount of emotion he has and whatnot, compared to straight up one of the weirdest in the sport in Jared Cannonier.
Come on, he just likes earth stones. Come on now. Believes in the power of pyrite and everything. You don't have your pyrite stones?
He's a QAnon guy as well. So,
I mean,
yeah.
listen.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. Like he's a weirdo. You know what I mean?
Right. I'll be fair. I'll be completely transparent. I was not aware that he was into QAnon now. So
yeah. So now, instant weirdo label. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But I like that fight for multiple reasons.
Wow.
I mean, had it, under other circumstances, I would say Kelvin Gastelum, just because I just wonder what the two would pair up like now. But after the beating that Gastelum took, I want him to sit down for a little bit. That beating was last week against Robert Whittaker. I want him to sit down for a little bit and retool. And Hall, no damage. I mean, the first fighter in UFC history to win by TKO without throwing any strikes. And I think to win a fight, period, without throwing a single strike.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating right there.
Yeah, I hated the way that Dana tweeted that out, too. It was just so dismissive of the horrific injury that took place.
Yeah.
And while, yes, he checked the kick that caused that to happen, still.
Show more love to your former champion.
Still. Exactly.
Show more respect to your former champion, man. It's not too much to ask for. All right,
no,
so
it's really not.
We go from one odd injury to another. Anthony Smith gets the victory over Jimmy Crute. This came via leg injury as well. The doctor stopped this between rounds right before the second, I guess officially because of a drop foot. Yes. I think that's what, yeah. So the same thing that dethroned Michael Chandler in his second or third stint or whatever as the Bellator lightweight champion came to bite the prospect that is Jimmy Crute. one very, very well placed leg kick from Smith. It lands like that shin kind of hit right around. It looked like a sciatic nerve or something like that, and Crute's foot just stopped working. Just straight up no longer worked. Was still able to get a takedown, like a one-legged takedown. Pretty impressive. And actually had a prolonged ground exchange with Smith, but in between rounds, not much he can do to disguise how badly damaged he was. And just when you thought he was going to get away with it, and just when that foot started having some feeling again, and he's putting weight on it, and he's starting to walk semi-normal, and you think, okay, if he can stall here for another 30 seconds or so once that bell rings, he'll be right back in this. Well, in the efforts to hype himself up, his ankle rolled again. The doctor instantly decided to call it TKO for Anthony Smith. Man, this kind of keeps the Anthony Smith contender thing kind of alive when we thought it was dead. Would you agree with that?
No, it does, because you have to consider how he looked in that first round. He looked amazing. He looked great. He was sticking and moving. Like, he had that wide stance, like striking stance that where it was like that kind of like half quarter, like that quarter lean forward, like stance that I'm about to jab your face off and then get out of the way type of stance. And that's what he was doing. And it was working, and it was looking beautiful. And that was something I did not expect to see from Anthony Smith tonight. So that was all there with the confidence. And then he landed that leg kick that really just shut off the nerve traveling down Crute's leg to his foot. And he tried to get it back too. He was trying his best to hide it, trying to get it back.
He almost did.
Almost did, man. But that's unfortunately the way our anatomy works. If you hit certain spots, shit's just gonna shut down, and you probably should not continue fighting in that moment. And that's just what happened. So you got to give credit to Anthony Smith, because he caused that to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he just stepped wrong on his own or something. No, he got his leg kicked to hell and caused some severe nerve damage, enough that it's caused his leg to stop working properly. So you got to give credit to Anthony Smith there.
Absolutely. And I'd like to say this is kind of affirmed my initial thoughts when this matchup was made, like too much too soon for Jimmy Crute. I know, the promotion has been high on him. If I'm not mistaken, that he was the first international fighter on the Contender Series. I think he was the first guy that they flew in from another country, and it was like making a big deal about that. But too much too soon, man. Like, a win over Devin Clark does not. I mean, excuse me. Yeah. Sorry. A win over someone else. Like, Devin Clark was Anthony Smith's last win.
Yeah.
Michael Olich, the guy. Michael Olich, that guy.
Olejacek.
Yes, that guy. Like that. That's not Anthony Smith. Like, there's a difference in competition. This was a big step up. And and our resident sarcasm master right here. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Tunbosen. I think that's right. Tunbosen. I said he needs some milk, Anthony. 2 more for a title fight. Anthony Smith for a title fight is, I guess, with John Jones out of the division, you have a much better case for it. Mm-hmm. But Glover and Jan coming up next. Like, if Glover wins that, Anthony Smith's got to do a couple more things, I think, to be in that discussion, because that was such a dominant performance from Teixeira. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think what else. And Ray Kick. I mean, Ray Kick is there too. I mean, he's right there, and then Dominic Reyes is sitting there too. Thiago Santos is always in the mix as well. Yeah, there's definitely at least. I think if he gets 2 more, for sure, you got to put him in there again on that third opportunity. Against who?
If he's punching up every time, then absolutely.
Yeah.
If he comes out and wins of those every time, yeah.
And I think we're talking about situations with like late notice replacements and stuff like that working to his favor. I don't think he just gets 2 regular booked to fight this guy and then book to fight this guy and then in the title picture. I don't see it happening that way, but maybe a little trickery with the schedule, a little bit of luck, good luck for him, bad luck for someone else, and we might see that in 2 fights. So.
100%. Because look, he's got to be able to flip that script, and it may very well be like you said, a short notice replacement type of thing, because he was ranked number 6 right now, and he just fought number 13. So the UFC is kind of putting him in this position for guys to build up off of his position. So he's got to flip that script and say, no, I'm still very much deserving of being considered for a title fight opportunity. If this was more of it was a clear win. Like, he caused that injury, and I hope that they don't hold that against him. I hope nobody holds that against him, because he caused that. He caused that to happen. So for me, that's a clear finish, in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed. So, all right, let's keep things pushing. The prelim card ended with fantastic showing from one rude boy, Randy Brown. He gets the rear naked choke, a 1-arm rear naked choke halfway into the first round against Cowboy Oliveira. Whew, man. Whew. That was so gorgeous. That was such a well executed technique. Randy Brown looked like he put it all together tonight, man.
He really did. He was looking great. I saw a tweet right before the fight started out from who I forgot who tweeted it out, but somebody was like, "Be prepared to watch Randy Brown just box this dude's head off." And I was like, "Against Alex Oliveira, really?" And that's what was happening. Hit him with a laser of a right hand to send that man to the canvas, and then followed it up, and of course slapped on that submission attempt. And the one arm was super impressive, because the one arm was really controlling for a few minutes until he was able to slip that hand up above that shoulder and use that as a leverage point to just continue to tighten that choke up. And it just worked. It was fantastic, man. You never really see that. Joe Rogan even said out of all the fights he's called, he's never seen that.
Yeah.
I don't know Joe Rogan forgets things at times, but
like, it's one of those things where I'm not sure if, like, when watching it, I was just like, what's going on here? Like, it's one of those things where I didn't know it was possible until I saw it. The idea of a rear naked choke just seems like you need 2 arms for it, but clearly you don't. So I wonder if this is one of those techniques that I think people are going to be trying. Like, we're going to see this with more frequency now.
You're going to be seeing it for sure, because, we're very much a copycat sport. But this is something that you would more so see in a gi situation, where you're trying to grab the lapel and trying to pull down and create a choking thing. But obviously there's no lapel here to create that leverage. So you grab that shoulder blade, and essentially it's like wrist pressure, right? So you're like cranking your wrist over the shoulder to create more pressure. But yeah, that's more so something that you would see when you're training in a gi. And of course, obviously you're not. It's all sweat and skin right there. So that's why it's even more impressive that it worked. So
yeah, well, I think we might see some of the taller, lankier guys giving this a try. Like, this definitely seems like something John Jones would try. Like, something he would just like make up on the spot.
Yeah.
So guys with those sort of dimensions, I think we might be seeing a little bit of frequency there. All right, let's go to a couple comments from Iman, who's also the resident matchmaker, along with cutting everyone who loses every single
Pink
card.
slips at the ready.
Smith versus Krylov next. You like that one?
Where's Krylov ranked? He's ranked at 9 right now. Sure, I guess. I'm just not.
Does it feel too low for Smith?
No, it doesn't feel too low. I'm just not a fan of Krylov, so that's just my thing. So sure, go ahead. Why not?
All right, and another one: Reebok Walker versus Crute.
Reebok, not Reebok.
Yeah, I was like, Reebok? Is that like his name? Like,
yeah,
I thought that
throwback.
Yeah, I was
kid.
like, huh? I was like, is that his nickname or something? I'm just not aware of. All right. But yeah, Jimmy Walker and Jimmy Walker. Fuck me.
Dynamite.
Wow. Yeah, Johnny Walker, Jimmy Crute. I like it. That seems like a high action fight. It seems like something crazy would possibly happen. And quite frankly, I think both of those guys need some sort of technical reset. They need to face something more on their level right now. That sounds about right to me. All right. And,
I like that.
And what about Randy Brown versus the winner of Ponzinibbio and Miguel Baeza?
Let me look at the rankings again. Neither one of them are ranked.
No, they are not.
Nobody's ranked. Nobody's ranked. Sure. I actually no. Because if Ponzinibbio wins, I think Pons should get back into the rankings, like higher up in the rankings for me. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and if Baeza wins, like he deserves a ranked opponent for himself. Like even though Ponzinibbio is not exactly had the best several years in mixed martial arts, mainly due to inactivity. So, but still, you should reward a guy like Baeza with more if he were to emerge victorious. All right, and last matchup thing from Rob Iman for the moment. I'm sure he'll come up with more people he wants to get rid of, but loser leaves town match between Cowboy Oliveira and Alex Morono.
Ooh,
okay,
yeah,
but Cowboy Oliveira isn't one of those guys that I see the UFC really letting go of.
Yeah, he's one of those. I was saying like right after the fact, like to myself, I was like, this is a guy that never really, like you watch the guy fight. It's like this guy shouldn't be losing fights that he loses. Like he just looks like he's always ultra competitive. He's always got that wide, bouncy base, causing problems for his opponents. I like that man's style way too much, and yeah, he loses fights, but I think they'll keep that guy around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it could, because he's for all the talent that he has. I mean, he's a defensive liability a lot of times. He makes like these bizarre strategic errors that normally lead to a lot of action. He's like Mike Perry without the racism or something. So the UFC's probably going to keep him around. Like,
yeah.
That's what I'm seeing right there.
Much better offensively than Mike Perry, though.
Yeah. Oh, tons better than Mike Perry. All right. Let's see here. What else? He knows how to use his size and length. You need long arms for that one arm sub. Yes, absolutely true. You're not going to see some of the stumpier fighters pulling that maneuver off with any level of success, unless, of course, they are fighting someone who is even more stumpy than them. So stumpiness is a factor here with one arm submissions. O'Malley feels that was not a loss for Crute.
Okay,
Galactus MMA. Yeah.
Okay, Sean O'Malley. Sure.
I'm sure he doesn't. All right, here's an interesting one right here from Tunbosen. How was the performance of the Chinese fighters? Do you think they have a future in the UFC? Let's just start it off by saying that China went 0 for 4, I believe, on the card. Interesting. We were hearing a lot of talk about the Performance Institute in Shanghai, and this has been a big deal for a while. Like I've definitely sat in on some press conferences and media scrums and whatnot where Dana's talking about this in particular and this new PI in China, and we're finding all these incredible fighters. You're finding a lot of talented people for sure, and a lot of talented people are coming out of that PI. Like I'm not even gonna screw up this man's name, but he's talented. The guy who lost the second fight, or the guy who lost the third fight.
Everybody calls it Aori for short.
Aori, okay, yes, him, and Rongzhu as well. Like talented guys, very clearly. Problem is there are a lot of talented guys in mixed martial arts, and you need something more than talent. And right now, either they are too green or something is missing at the PI, because they just did not get the job done this time around. So right now, Vegas PI, Shanghai PI.
Yeah. In terms of these particular competitors tonight, outside of the first one, Liang didn't look very good. Like, I think I think that fight, there was just a lot of emotions, a lot of, like, they had the crowd on 10 for that very first fight of the night. Obviously, for first fight. I mean, they made it a nice little war, but she didn't really show me anything super impressive. Jory was looking really good until that third round where he just decided to stop moving his head and let his face get boxed off. So that was strange. And Zhang actually looked really good. He looked really good. But of course he lost the fight. So that was one of the weirder judging decisions as well too.
Was that the one that had the like that 30-27 that was just clearly wrong? Or was that the one
there was
with
a couple of
random
those.
10-8? There was some stupidity.
No, that was the one with the 10-8 in the first round for Vargas.
Oh, that's just
didn't
asinine.
Like there was no 10-8 in that round. And then they scored the third round for Vargas when he clearly lost the third round. Like it was not even a question that he lost that round.
There was some serious stupid stuff going on with the judges tonight. Serious Florida man made its way into the commission. Like just dumb stuff. I was really surprised by some of the things being read out to the point where I was expecting a lot more dumb stuff on the cards. Fortunately, though, most of the fights, I think there were only 3 fights that went to decision on this, or four fights that went to decision on this card. So the judges largely were nullified, and
Thankfully.
thank God, because they would have screwed this all up. Jesus.
Yes, they would have screwed it. They would have made this night super, super frustrating for all of this.
Yeah.
Super
Galactus MMA with a astute observation here. Chinese and Mongolia fighters did really well, but lacked the experience their opponents had. Absolutely correct. I think the aforementioned fighters, obviously Weili Zhang being former champion, clearly she's got the experience. But for the other fighters hailing from that region, they very clearly are talented, very clearly have potential. Especially we're talking about Rongzhu's 21. He looks like he's 35, but they say 21. All right, cool.
Yeah.
He
born in 2000.
Man, that's an old looking 21-year-old, bro. He looked like he's 35 to me, but
I don't care. The fact that this dude was born in the year 2000 is just
that makes you feel old as
old
shit, right?
I'm super old.
I'm gonna shave my beard. Like I'm gonna do like LL Cool J did, and he just start shaving all his facial hair off and trying to fool you into thinking he's young. I'm gonna start doing that because
I'm gonna run an extra mile tomorrow.
But I don't. But straight up and down, man, I get a little. I don't trust brothers that don't have facial hair. I get a little like, it don't look right. It don't look right. Brothers need to have something there. But that's another story. I don't want to get into all that. But yeah, this is an astute observation right here. The experience certainly was a factor in those losses. Like you said about Jory, like just letting himself get punched in the face for the better part of 10 minutes. Like, probably not the wisest thing in the world. And you think a more experienced fighter would know better than that and start moving their head a little bit.
So weird. So strange. Strange.
It was very strange.
You hear the take one to give one. He wasn't giving nothing.
He forgot that part. He definitely forgot that part. So, but there was a Mongolian fighter on the card who had quite the showing, and that is Dana Bagarel. Yes, that's how I'm pronouncing his name because the 2 A's. So Dana was really impressive tonight, according to DL. And DL, yes, you're right. He was very impressive. That counterpunch, we're talking about NFT moments. That counterpunch was gorgeous. That is an NFT moment. Like the way he set that up so beautifully, to not only throw the perfect counter with the head movement, but to do it while stepping backward, and to step backward with the head movement while switching stances. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. That was a spectacular moment, and probably I mean, of the prelims, definitely my favorite moment. Yes. Oh, it's Dana. All right.
We could say Dana all you want.
Dana. I want to say Dana.
Entertaining.
Okay. Dana Bagarel. That's his name from now on. I've changed it. There we go.
I mean, it's better than me remembering the guy because I used to think of Batgirl. That's his last name. So
I was trying to think of like Batman puns or something for Twitter, and I was like, this is going to get really corny. I'll just leave this alone. But
they're all right there, though. They're all right there.
This is the best fight the UFC can make right now. Dana versus Reebok Walker. Yes, this is it. This is for all the marbles right here. Oh man,
yes.
Winner gets a Ford Escort. It's going to be fantastic. All right, so I think we are talking our heads off about a whole bunch of nothing at this point. So let's address some of these comments. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Anything in particular about the card that you want to highlight, please, now is your time. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. So I'm report echoing my sentiments. Jacksonville was full of morons tonight. It is Florida. It's always filled with morons. So it's just a high concentration of morons in the same place. That was Jacksonville's ViStar Veteran Memorial Arena tonight. All right. Galactus MMA saying something that I alluded to on Twitter during the fight. Molina looked like Max Holloway in that third round. Yes, he did. That was some very slick boxing. One of my favorite things to see in mixed martial arts, when you have someone throwing nice hands, not throwing full power into everything. Mm-hmm. Just touches and volume, touches, volume, reset, touch, volume, reset. It's just such a beautiful pattern to see, and we saw it wearing away at a pretty iron chin Jory. So, Matt, I know you were loving that performance as well.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was equally impressed with how Molina was kind of, coming back in the fight, but I was also as perplexed. Is like, why are you not moving your head? Why are you just letting this guy punch you in the face like this? So it was interesting to say the least in that third round. But yeah, he was definitely flexing his muscles a little bit like Max Holloway, sans all the taunting and all of the jaw jacking at DC's cage side.
Speaking of jaw jacking and cage side,
I know where you're going.
Please explain to me how someone who wasn't on the card this evening, someone who doesn't even compete in the sport of mixed martial arts, seemed to get all of the attention in the crowd, even got a shout out, an inadvertent shout out during the broadcast by one Daniel Cormier. Why has Jake Paul invaded the sport of mixed martial arts the way he has? Rob Iman with the answer. Jacksonville was full of morons tonight. Rob, prophetic words indeed. Matt, come on now, what are we doing? Why?
I'm frustrated that Jacksonville gave this man so much clout tonight. They gave this man so much clout because he's going to go on his YouTube and make a video about how he ruined or crashed the party at UFC, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the UFC in 2021. I crashed the party. They were chanting my name all night. I'm the biggest star in combat sports. He's going to be saying this shit thanks to this crowd giving him all the attention literally the entire evening. Chris Weidman is being stretchered out with a cast on his leg, an air cast on his leg, and they're chanting "fuck Jake Paul."
Yeah, like a former dominant champion, a guy who in recent memory was like taking out middleweight legends with frequency. And he is carted away with a potentially career-ending injury. But fuck Jake Paul is what Jacksonville's got on its mind.
Cool if you do it one time early in the evening, but to continually do it throughout the night, damn near every fight, every break, you gave that man way too much power by doing that. Way too much power.
Yeah. That being said, I'll unfortunately give that man a little more shine right now because I say that is the next destination for the now free agent Tyron Woodley. Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. That's next. Tim Boson, shooting out wisdom. Stop giving clout tokens to clout demons. Yes. I guess we're guilty as well, but I just thought it would be. I was just fascinated by that. Yeah. That this guy was the centerpiece of the crowd's attention.
Just
like
wild,
you just imagine this, okay? you've been deprived of attending a live sporting event for over a year now. You get the UFC in town, pack this arena. You don't even have to wear a mask. COVID, fuck it. You're fine. Go in there, get drunk, have a great time. Oh, by the way, this is going to be one of the most action-packed cards in the history of the promotion, with tons of crazy finishes and all these weird things happening. Hey, there's Jake Paul. That's where your attention goes? There's Jake Paul in the audience? That's where your attention goes? You idiots.
Unreal, man.
Pretty crazy stuff there. See, the whole Weidman Silva triangle is confirmation of the simulation theory. There is something to that, man. The trifecta, the connection between these three is quite fascinating. Down to, of course, Weidman and Hall meeting originally in 2010. It was in Ring of Fire. Then for, a couple years later, Weidman dethroned Silva. Hall, who during his rise during The Ultimate Fighter was thought of to be the next Anderson Silva, and he violently ends his career. Weidman violently ended his title reign, and Hall like took in Anderson Silva's spirit or something and went out for vengeance for the broken leg in the rematch. Yeah, man, you can't write this stuff. You can't make this shit up.
Let's be real. Uriah Hall was only compared to Anderson Silva because he was a black guy who had a flashy knockout. So naturally, you get compared to Anderson Silva.
True indeed. Every black guy with some flash to him becomes Anderson Silva.
I love it and I hate it because
Joaquin
it says
Buckley.
So many things. So many dog whistles when you do that.
John Jones, Israel Adesanya. The list goes on and on. Hakeem Dawodu, DeCasey. Yes, if you have a darker skin tone and you do some flashy stuff, you're Anderson Silva, like it or not. So
yes, apparently,
yeah, quite the triangle there for the simulation theory. Good observation there by Galactus MMA. Iman wants to see Uriah Hall versus Darren Till. You up for that?
Why not? Like I said, it gets really murky at middleweight right now. There's a lot of different ways you can go with matchups, and I really wouldn't be mad at any of them right now. You want to match up anybody in the top 10 with anyone, that's fine. Do it.
And then also too, if we're gonna keep talking about, because this is probably more of a talking point for Adesanya. He wants the Darren Till fight, despite how it doesn't really make sense. If assuming he gets past Vettori, if you book Till versus Hall and Till comes out with the victory, okay, maybe you add some legitimacy to the idea that Darren Till belongs fighting for the middleweight belt. So in that sense, okay, I'll take it. But also to a stylistic matchup that should be kind of interesting. I'd say. Yeah.
And not to get too far off on a random sidebar here, but I am curious. Galactus MMA, answer me a question. Do you believe that the MCU will do Galactus his just due? Do you believe?
Have they confirmed Galactus is part of the plan?
I believe he's supposed to be part of the next phase at some point.
Next phase is in later on, first movies of phase 4?
Yes,
or are you talking?
I believe so.
Okay, because it seems like I wonder. COVID threw so many things off with the MCU schedule. I am curious as to what that's going to look like. But this is a loaded year for the MCU.
Yeah.
Did you finish Falcon and Winter Soldier yet?
I haven't started. I'm actually starting tomorrow. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk. We'll talk. Yeah, just
starting tomorrow.
Yeah, just hit me up. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Okay, I'm gonna skip my planned because I started watching Billions. I hadn't watched Billions yet, and I started watching that, and I'm almost done with the first season. I stopped watching that last night to watch the new Mortal Kombat movie since I saw so many people talking about it.
Ass crack. Yeah.
So we were having this conversation earlier. What would you rate it on a scale of 10? What would you rate it? Mortal Kombat 2021.
It's better than Aquaman. I'll say that. Aquaman.
Okay.
Aquaman sucks ass. Mortal Kombat out of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 4.5, 5 maybe. I at least had fun watching some of it.
Yes, I said 5. I said 5.
Yeah,
because there was so much good, but then there was so much trash that it was just like I was entertained, and then what the fuck, and then that doesn't make sense. And those graphics were good there, and then those graphics there were terrible. It's just all over the place.
The dialogue was so bad,
bro. They couldn't drop. God. They couldn't. They forced the video game taglines in there so bad.
Yeah, when Kung Lao hit the flawless victory line, I was like, all right, get the fuck out of here, man.
After one of
something on my TV.
After a dope moment in the fight scene, like he hit him with it.
Yeah.
And then you hit the cheesy tagline. Come on, bro.
Yeah. We didn't need that. We didn't need that at all.
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. Tumbosin.
Back on track.
Yeah. Weidman, Coach of the Year, and I think this is a damn good question, and I'm just going to say yes. This guy had one champion absolutely dominate on his way to retain the belt, and just before that, he had his former champion dominate to regain the belt. Trevor Weidman, Coach of the Year thus far, and quite frankly, and I think especially when you look at Kamaru Usman, the improvements that he has made specifically because of his influence, how many other coaches are having such an immediate impact on a fighter that already was so good, already at the highest level, and somehow this guy came in and made it higher, and not just marginally better, like exponentially better. Like there's a different person standing in front of you, and that person is far more dangerous than the person that was standing in front of you that already was dangerous as hell. Trevor Weidman has got to be Coach of the Year so far.
Hard to argue with any of that. He's got to be. He's got to be. If he wasn't already, like tonight solidified it. Like so already, we're in April. Yeah, he's the front runner by a mile right now. Good luck catching up. I know Eric Nixick has had a hell of a year as well. So he's close. Not a close. Well, yeah, he's a close second for me right now. But yeah, Trevor Weidman is in the number one spot, and I think it's a comfortable number one right now.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there's always going to be the Javier Mendez, there's going to be the Mike Brown, there's going to be the Dean Thomas. They're the names that are the staples of these lists every year. But Trevor Weidman, it's just he's just spacing himself a bit further than the competition right now. So I'd love to see some of these other coaches catch up, because that means we're going to see many more interesting fights. And quite frankly, I love when we talk about these things and we don't have definitive answers, because that just is so much more interesting to watch. It's so much more interesting to think about, and it's damn sure more interesting to talk about. And I hope it's more interesting for you folks to listen to as well. So,
100%.
Yep. Excuse me. Let's see here. I'm in Blockbuster after Blockbuster coming to theaters this summer. Yes. Mm-hmm. Question is, Matt, are you going to theaters?
I'm sure I will. I mean, I'll be vaccinated by next month, so why not?
Oh, okay. Yeah, see.
Hopefully, I'm supposed to get my second shot this coming week, but they haven't sent my email yet, so I'm kind of concerned.
Oh, yes, you go to the movies, have a blast, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Have a blast. Like, I have not been vaccinated yet, and I'm, quite frankly, now the timing of this just doesn't seem to be in my favor. So, I think the vaccines just open up eligibility for everybody above 16, last week, I think it was. Problem is now with that second shot apparently just taking everybody out, and they're like sick for a few days and whatnot.
Not everybody.
Everybody I've talked to that's had both shots has been like they've been taken out by the second shot for a couple days at least. Problem is, in my household, me being taken out for a couple days is a huge deal. My second baby is on the way in a few weeks. Like, we're like 6 weeks away. I got to help my wife do like everything as far as anything physical is concerned. And we've got our 1.5-year-old running around and, acting a fool around the house, and someone's got to physically keep up with him. I can't be taken out right now. But fortunately, newborn life lends you to be isolated anyway. And I'm antisocial. Surprise, surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this plays into my lifestyle. So I'm not doing the theater thing until I get vaccinated, which won't be until after the baby's born, as Rob has suggested I do.
There you go.
You like that transition right there between comments?
Smooth. Smooth. Super smooth.
Absolutely. So I think we might have run the course as far as MMA discussion is concerned. If you have anything else, and if we missed anything, please retype it. We'll stick around for just a few more minutes to make sure that we get to all the good comments and questions. I apologize if I missed anything before, and I'm sure I missed a lot because I've been talking a lot and I wasn't reading while I was talking. I'm sorry. I can only do one thing at a time. Well, multiple things, but still. Reading the questions, little one of them. Sorry. And once again, big thanks to the man Samo for dropping our first super chat. Please keep those coming. We need that. Like, whenever you drop something in the super chat, just know it goes directly into improving the content. And that's a big thing. We want to see more content here on Body Lock. We want to do more here on Body Lock. We want to up the production values here on Body Lock, and we do need the funds to get it done. So thank you so much. Please open those wallets, open your hearts. Okay, this is the Body Lock. All right. So
God.
All right. So I guess that's what we got a good one before we go. This should be interesting right here. Timbosin asking, do you think Masvidal's bare knuckle league would see success, or is the hype gone with his burial today?
Well,
you know what? I don't think his hype is going to be gone with the burial today, at least for a promotion, because it's a bare knuckle promotion that has its own sort of niche feel to it. That's got its own appeal, and he comes from that background. What a better person can you think of a better person to start their own bare knuckle league? Someone who has, we first think of Kimbo Slice as the bare knuckle fighter that elevated his career and everything in MMA. Like, it's really Masvidal. Like, Masvidal's the one who's touched not only like popular opinion with his transition from bare knuckle to MMA, but it's also been a top ranked fighter. He's also fought 4 titles. He's fought for 3 major titles. No, the BMF isn't one of them. 2 UFC welterweight title shots and a lightweight shot at the Strikeforce belt. So this is a guy who's had absolutely top-notch success in the sport and had some big paydays as well. He's the perfect guy for this. And with the love he gets in Miami, I mean, that's the perfect place to keep this running. Yeah. I think his bare knuckle league will do just fine.
For sure. And the thing about Mosbidal fans, as I said earlier in this evening, the Venn diagram of Masvidal fans and Diaz fans is a complete circle. So we know how that's going to go. Yeah. They're not leaving Jorge Masvidal. They're not. They're going to stick around. They're going to support that man. And that's really fantastic. I wish everybody had fans like that. So good for him.
Do you think with him starting this bare knuckle league that Fox News will at least get his ethnicity and name right next time he makes an appearance?
Of course not.
He's still going to be Mexican George. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, Mexican UFC fighter George.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Well, I certainly hope they learn the man's name and learn where he's really from. So that will be a good start. All right, so that should do it for this edition of Body Lock post-fight chatter right here. UFC 261 is in the books. Fantastic event. Before we wrap things up, Matt, just give us your final thoughts on the card overall.
Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic event, y'all. You guys already know it. If you didn't see it and you're just watching us talk about it, I mean, just know that this was one of the best events of the year. I keep a spreadsheet of all of the year sort of things throughout the course of the year. So when it comes time to make our year-end awards, I don't have to shuffle through the whole year that was. I just go to my spreadsheet that I update. And I had updates to damn near every category tonight. So that kind of tells you what kind of event this was. The title fights were amazing. The finishes, the freak injuries. I mean, everything was here. Everything was here. The one thing I don't think we had on this entire event, the one thing that rears its ugly head every single event, no eye pokes tonight.
What? I think we
The
had
whole eye
one.
pokes.
We had one growing kick, and that was
one
it.
groin
Right?
shot. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. It's almost like they changed the gloves or something. Oh, that's fantastic.
Incredible.
Definitely great parting thoughts there. I'll wrap things up on my end just by saying how great of a card this was. I certainly hope we have the same positive feelings towards UFC 261 in 2 weeks when COVID symptoms typically start manifesting themselves. It's very difficult for me to get over the idea of 15,000 people packed into an arena at this day and age, and to see. It's one thing if they're wearing masks. Like, it's one thing if the whole crowd is masked up and, hey, it's like, hey, maybe it's not wise for everybody to be gathered, but they're doing it as safely as possible. And yes, life does have to move on. We do have to start living and start experiencing things. And I understand it's been over a year. People need to break loose. They need to get back to some level of normalcy. But you got to get back to that level of normalcy while being intelligent. This was not intelligent. So I certainly hope in 2 weeks we're still talking about how good of a card this was and not how much carnage is left in the wake. So that's my thought. A fantastic card. Happy to see the energy, like feel the energy of fans. Just hope that it was worth it at the end. So that'll do it for us here at The Body Lock. I'm Ant Walker. He is Matt Wells. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Please tell that friend to tell 10 more friends. This has been the UFC 261 post-fight show. Thank you for tuning in. Peace and love.